there is a moment INFJs know very well. A moment where everything becomes clear. Not just the surface. Not just what is being said. But what is really happening underneath. The truth. The pattern. The hidden meaning behind what is unfolding. They see it. Quietly. Naturally. They understand what is going on. Sometimes before anyone else does. Sometimes before it is even obvious. Before it is spoken. Before it is acknowledged. And in that moment, they have a choice. They can speak. They can explain everything. They can bring clarity to the situation. Or they can stay quiet. And more often than people expect, they choose silence. Not because they don't know what to say. Not because they are unsure. But because they know too much. Too many layers. Too many perspectives. Too many consequences. Too many things others are not ready to hear. And when someone sees that deeply, speaking is not always simple. It is not always helpful. It is not always necessary. So why do INFJs stay quiet when they understand so much? Why do they hold back when they could explain everything? In this video, we explore 12 calm and powerful reasons INFJs choose silence, even when they know the truth. And by the end, you may understand their silence in a completely different way. Let's begin. 1. They see the full picture. INFJs don't just see one side. They don't focus on a single angle. They don't stop at the obvious. They see multiple layers at once. Different perspectives. Different motivations. Different emotional states. Different possible outcomes. They see how everything connects. How one action leads to another. How one word affects something deeper. They understand the situation as a whole. Not just the surface. Not just what is visible. Not just what is being said out loud. And because of that, speaking becomes complicated. Because simplifying the truth feels inaccurate. Feels incomplete. Feels like leaving something important out. They don't like partial truth. They don't like half explanations. So instead of saying something limited, they say nothing. Because the full picture is not easy to explain quickly, and rushing it would reduce its meaning. 2. They know not everyone is ready to hear the truth. INFJs understand emotional readiness. They can feel it, without needing to ask. They notice openness, or the lack of it. They can feel when someone is open, and when they are not. When someone is willing to listen, or only willing to defend. They can sense resistance, defensiveness, denial, subtle but clear. And when they feel that, they pause. They hold back. Because truth, at the wrong time, feels like an attack. Even when it is gentle. Even when it is honest. Even when it is meant to help. So they choose silence. Not to hide the truth, but to protect the moment, and the person, from hearing something they are not ready to receive. 3. They want to avoid unnecessary conflict. INFJs are not afraid of truth. They don't avoid honesty, but they are aware of consequences. They think beyond the moment. They consider what happens after words are spoken. They know that speaking honestly can create tension, misunderstanding, emotional reactions, defensiveness, distance. And if that conflict has no purpose, they don't engage. They don't speak just to be right. They don't speak just to prove a point. They don't speak just to correct someone. They choose meaning over reaction. So they stay quiet. Because not every truth needs to be spoken immediately. And not every moment needs correction. 4. They process deeply before speaking. INFJs don't react instantly. They don't respond on impulse. They reflect. They go inward first. They analyze meaning. They consider impact. They explore different angles, different interpretations, different outcomes. So even when they know something, they are still processing it, refining it, understanding it fully, making sure it is clear, making sure it is accurate. And during that time, silence becomes natural. It becomes necessary. Because speaking too soon feels incomplete, feels rushed, feels misaligned with what they truly understand. 5. They value emotional impact. INFJs don't just think about what is true. They think about what truth does, how it feels, how it lands, how it affects someone emotionally. They consider the weight of their words, the timing of their words, the context around their words. And if the impact feels heavy, they hesitate, not out of fear, but out of care. They weigh their words carefully. They consider timing deeply. And sometimes, they decide silence is kinder. At least for now. At least until the moment is right. 6. They don't need to prove their intelligence. INFJs don't speak to impress. They don't feel the need to show what they know. They don't measure their value through expression. They don't chase recognition, or validation, or approval. So even when they understand something deeply, they don't feel urgency to express it. They don't feel pressure to explain it, because their awareness is enough for them. Their understanding is already complete. They don't need others to confirm it. And because of that, silence feels natural, not limiting. 7. They trust timing more than urgency. INFJs believe in the right moment. Not just any moment. Not just the next opportunity to speak. But the right moment. The one that feels aligned. The one that feels ready. They don't rush truth. They don't push it forward. They don't force it into conversations that are not prepared for it. They don't force clarity, even when clarity is available. Even when they understand everything already. They don't push insight into the wrong space. They don't place depth where only surface is expected. They wait patiently, without pressure, without frustration. They observe the mood, the tone, the openness of the other person. They sense when the moment feels open, not closed, not defensive, not resistant, receptive, willing, listening, safe, emotionally stable, not reactive, not overwhelmed, aligned, with truth, with honesty, with understanding. A moment where words can land properly, without distortion, without resistance. Be understood properly, not just heard, but understood. Be received fully, without defensiveness, without misinterpretation. And if that moment hasn't arrived, they remain quiet. They don't rush it into existence. They don't force it open. They hold their thoughts carefully. They hold their understanding, without losing it, without needing to express it immediately. Because timing shapes how truth is received, more than truth itself. And they know this deeply. 8. They know words can be misunderstood. INFJs are often misunderstood. Not occasionally, but consistently. Not because they are unclear. Not because they lack expression. But because their depth can be difficult to translate into simple words, into quick explanations, into casual conversations. They know this from experience, repeated experience, moments where they spoke clearly, but were understood differently. Their meaning can be simplified incorrectly, reduced to something smaller than intended, distorted into something they never meant, taken out of context, separated from the nuance that gave it meaning. So they are careful, very careful, more careful than most people realize, because saying something complex in a simple conversation can lead to confusion, or misinterpretation, or unintended reactions. Reactions they did not expect, reactions they did not intend to cause. So they stay quiet, not out of fear, but out of awareness, until they feel they can express it clearly, fully, without losing depth, completely, without being reduced, in a way that preserves its meaning, exactly as they understand it. 9. They observe more by staying silent. Silence gives INFJs more information, more than speaking does, more than asking direct questions, more than leading the conversation. When they don't speak, others continue, naturally, without interruption, without pressure, without feeling guided. They reveal more, not just words, but tone, emotion, intention. They express more freely, because they feel space, because they feel no pressure to stop. They go deeper, without realizing it, layer by layer, thought by thought. And INFJs learn more, quietly, effortlessly, about thoughts, how people think, how they process, about patterns, repeated behaviors, repeated reactions, about truth, what aligns, what doesn't, about intention, what is genuine, what is not. So sometimes, they stay quiet on purpose. Not to withdraw, not to disconnect, but to understand more fully, to see more clearly. Because listening reveals more than speaking. Always. 10. They protect their inner world. INFJs have deep thoughts. Not surface thoughts. Not temporary ones. Deep insights. Carefully formed. Deep understanding. Built over time. Layers within layers. Connected ideas. Emotional depth. And they don't share this lightly. Not casually. Not in passing conversation. Not without thought. Because once they open up, they open fully. They don't give fragments. They don't give pieces. They give depth. Complete. Honest. Unfiltered. And that level of depth requires trust. Real trust. It requires safety. Emotional safety. Not just surface comfort. It requires emotional alignment, understanding, respect. So until they feel safe, they stay quiet. Not distant. Not disconnected. Not uninterested. Just selective. Carefully choosing where their depth belongs. Where it will be understood. Where it will be respected. Where it will be held properly. 11. They understand that silence can be powerful. INFJs know silence is not weakness. They don't see it as absence. They don't see it as emptiness. They don't see it as something lacking. It is presence. Calm. Grounded presence. It is awareness. Active. Observing. Understanding. It is control. A quiet kind of control. Not forceful. Not visible. But steady. Silence allows space. For thoughts to form. For emotions to settle. It allows reflection. For everyone involved. It allows others to process. Without interruption. Without pressure. It allows truth to surface naturally. Without being forced. Without being pushed. And sometimes, silence communicates more than words ever could. More honestly. Without distortion. More clearly. Without confusion. More deeply. Without losing meaning. 12. They accept that not everything needs to be said. INFJs understand something deeply. Not everything needs expression. Not everything needs to be spoken. Not every truth needs to be shared. Not every insight needs to be explained. Not every understanding needs to be heard by others. Some things are meant to be observed. Quietly. Without interruption. Understood. Internally. Without needing validation. And left unspoken. Because forcing expression can reduce meaning. It can make something complex feel simple. It can oversimplify depth. Remove layers. Remove nuance. It can remove what made it meaningful. And silence can preserve it. Keep it intact. Keep it whole. Can protect it from misunderstanding. From distortion. Can hold it in its full form. Exactly as it is. Without being reduced. Without distortion. INFJs do not stay quiet because they lack something to say. They stay quiet because they understand too much. More than the moment requires. More than the moment can hold. Too many layers. Too many perspectives. Too many outcomes. Too many possible effects of a single word. They see beyond the present moment. Into what comes next. Their silence is not empty. It is full. Full of thought. Carefully processed. Full of awareness. Constantly observing. Full of understanding. Deep and layered. Full of intention. Purposeful and controlled. So when an INFJ is quiet, it does not mean they are unaware. It does not mean they are disconnected. It does not mean they have nothing to say. It means they are choosing, carefully, intentionally, what deserves to be spoken, and what does not. If this resonated with you, you may understand INFJs more deeply now. Or maybe, you are one. Stay thoughtful. Stay aware. Stay intentional. Because in a world that speaks quickly, your quiet understanding is rare and powerful.